Welcome, my name is Andy, and in this video I'm going to take you through a sequence which will help you to stretch, lengthen and release tension in your hamstrings. So one of the things that you'll need is a strap, so it could be a yoga belt, a yoga strap, but anything that would do the job. So if you haven't got one of these, you could use potentially a belt, as long as it was long enough. You could use a towel if you just kind of folded it or rolled it up a little bit and it was long enough. That could be used as well, but don't use elastic tubing because we don't want it to stretch. We want something that's going to hold nice and straight and firm. So you're going to need something like this. So in the sequence that we're going to do, we're going to pause at various times and we're going to do little retests to see if things are starting to improve us. Now, as you go through the sequence, there'll be little things that I get you to do that, from experience, working with lots of clients, athletes, and doing this in a group setting, you'll find that for some of you, the little drills that we do along the way will make huge differences. So it could be that all of them help you and you feel improvements each time we retest. And some of you might find just a couple of them help you, and there'll be people for which you go through everything and it's just not doing anything for you. So whatever happens is whatever happens. And the purpose of the different drills that we put in and the different stimulations that we put in are in many cases to engage the brain in different ways and to maybe switch on different reflexes that will help to allow us to get improvements, but then to capitalize on getting a bigger stretch, particularly in the final part. So I won't be going too much in this video into how each of these things works, but I will do at some point a video where I do explain some of the neurology behind it and some of the theory behind it as well. So let's make a start, and the first thing we're going to do is a test. So if you've done my warm-up video, we're going to do a test which we use in that video, which is the sit and reach. And all I want you to do is to see how far you can touch your toes. So I can just get my fingertips to my toes. Some of you might just be getting to your laces or your ankles, or you could be really stiff and just be getting somewhere here. So there's no judgment, it's just you measuring where you can get to see if anything improves when we retest. But you do need to remember whereabouts you can get to. But I can just about get my fingers to my toes. We're going to do a second test, and that's going to be using the strap. And we're going to lie down on our back. And we're going to put the strap around the foot, have the other leg so the foot is flat and the knee is bent. Keep your head on the floor, and then just make sure that your hips stay parallel to the ceiling, so you're not rotating as you do the movement, which is simply just to see how far you can bring the leg towards the body. And for me, that's as far as I can get to. Now, some of you might find that if you roll the sacrum under, you can kind of end up going further. So the idea is to keep the bones of your pelvis on the floor and don't roll off the floor to get more distance. So you keep the pelvis still and you're stretching through the leg and through the hip. So if you want to know what a normal range is, generally if you can get between 70 degrees or more, then you've got a good range of motion. If you're into sports and athletics, I would say that you want to be able to get to 90 degrees, which is pointing straight up. And if you're going beyond that, that's doing really well. So at the moment, I'm able to get to 90 degrees and I'm struggling to go beyond that. So that's my range. And then I'm going to swap over and do the same on the other side. And it's sometimes the case that you'll do one side and you'll find it's much more supple than the other. And that's telling you that you've got some imbalances that you need to address. But I'm very similar on both sides. And even if you've got the same range, you might find that one side feels like it's more effort and it's tighter than the other side. So this is something to pay attention to, because it means that there's something in your posture, or if you're an athlete, something maybe about the way you're training, which is possibly causing different muscles to become imbalanced in a way which is showing up in this test. So I'm getting to 90 degrees, and that's the two tests that we're going to do. So the first little neurostimulation that we're going to do is we're going to bend one knee to about 90 degrees, let the knee drop out, and we want to get to your Achilles tendon, which is just kind of behind your ankle and above your heel. You've got this big tendon, and it basically runs right around the heel, but you can we want to get to this point here where you've got this big tendon area. And on the same hand, on the same side, so I'm using my left leg here, using my left hand, I'm going to make like a karate chop hand, as if I was like chopping something, and then I'm just going to do a chop, just firmly but not too hard, into the Achilles tendon. So I do that just once, and then I'm going to do a little rub into the hamstrings like this, and then I'm just going to tap with the fingertips on the ankle bones. So you just do that for about 5 to 10 seconds, and that's all it is. And then we do the same on the other side. So we bend the other knee to about 90 degrees, let it drop out a little bit, go behind the ankle, find the Achilles tendon, use the hand on the same side to do a chop, rub the hamstring, and then tap the ankle bone. And then we just see, did that make a difference? And if I go back to my sit and reach, that's actually for me made a big difference. And we're not going to test both of these every time, but let's just have a see if anything has changed. So I come into this position, and that actually, it may have gone a little bit further, but that is actually feeling as if it's just stimulated something and it's just released a little bit. It feels a lot more relaxed, and it feels like it's going a little bit deeper. So that's the first part. So it's a little neurostimulation to prime the the connection from the brain into the area that we want to stretch. So we now move into the second part. And for the second part, we're going to lie down on the back, feet flat on the floor, knees are bent, and then we're going to take one foot off the floor and straighten it. And can you see I've got both knees and upper thighs alongside each other? So that's where you want to be, rather than lower down or pointing straight up. And then from here, we're just going to do gentle circles. And I want you to do 5 circles in each direction. So I'm just coming up to about 4 and 5. And then you change direction, keep the knee straight, and these circles are through the hip, from the hip. And if you do need to take a little break because you're struggling, that's okay as well. And then we put that leg down and we do the same on the other side. So 5 circles in each direction. The idea is not to do them too fast or too slow. So just a moderate pace. And I can feel on this right side that it's not as smooth as the other side. It feels like my ability to control the circles and make them smooth is a little bit more difficult. And I'm going to change direction. So if you notice there's a shaking going on, then that's a sign that there's poor neuromuscular control of that area, of that quadrant. And so the shaking is actually a good thing. It's where your brain is actually attempting to kind of recalibrate and reconnect with that area. So allow any shaking to occur. And once you've done roughly 5 in each direction, you can relax. If you want to, you can pause the video and you can recheck all of your tests again. I'm just going to retest my touching of the toes. And already there might be even more of an improvement just from doing that as well. So that's the second movement. Then we're going to move into the next part. So for the next part, you can sit with your legs out in front if you prefer, or you can cross your legs, just be comfortable. And what we're going to do is use either hand, it doesn't matter which one, I'm going to use my left hand, and we place the heel of the hand onto the forehead. But you do need to make sure that your body or your head is looking forwards in relation to your body. So what I don't want you to do is turn the head towards that left hand and then you're pushing like this. So my body is facing this direction, but my head is turned. So make sure your head is lined up. Put the heel of your hand onto the forehead. And then what you do is push your tongue into the roof of the mouth and then push your head against your hand. So you're tensing your neck muscles. And you hold that pressure for 5 to 10 seconds. And then you add in these other two parts. So you look down towards the floor strongly with the eyes, but don't strain them. And then you take your other hand and using the tips of your fingers, you rub up and down vigorously the center of your skull. And when you've got to 10 seconds, you can relax. And that's all it is. And then you could retest both tests again. I'm just going to quickly retest the touching of my toes because this does include the hamstrings, even though it's a general flexibility test. And again, every time I'm stretching, I'm getting a little bit more loose just from the stretching and testing each time. But each thing that we're doing is allowing me to feel like I'm kind of getting some release occurring. So now we're going to move into a somatic movement, and this comes from Hannah Somatics. So if you haven't heard of Hannah Somatics or even somatics in general, it's worth kind of doing a bit of research, and there's a lot of really good movements within these kind of disciplines, and this is designed very much to take some of the tension out of the system. So what this is going to do is take a bit of tension out of the hip area, including the hamstring. So I'm going to lie down on my back. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one knee and just take the hand and just grab it behind the upper leg, close to the knee, and then the rest of your leg, just let it drop and relax. So you're not holding it in position. And then let your arms be straight. And then what you're going to do is you're going to rotate your pelvis in such a way that it tries to lift your lower back off the floor. So we're not lifting the hips off the floor, we're just increasing the hollow and the arch in your lower back. So here we go. So I'm going to rotate and I've got a bit more arch coming into my lower back. And then when I start to flatten it back, I do it very slowly, but I allow my knee to be pulled towards my chest as I do it. So I'm gradually flattening, and my knee's coming towards the chest. And it's not about how close the knee gets to the chest, but as long as there's a movement and the knee is gently coming towards you, you just stop when it feels that it's had enough. And then we just reset. And then on the second one, we're going to straighten the leg. It's about not completely straight, but not at 90 degrees. So it's somewhere in the middle. And we do exactly the same again. So we try to increase the arch in the lower back by rotating the pelvis. It's the rotation of the pelvis that we're concerned with. And then as you flatten the lower back, you allow the leg to come towards you. And when your lower back is flat, if you can go a bit further without straining, see if the leg can come a bit further, and then you can relax, and we do the same on the other side. So we start with just grabbing behind the leg, let the lower leg just completely relax. We do the arch, and then as we flatten, we're drawing the knee towards the body with the movement of the pelvis rotating as the lower back is flattening towards the floor. And you can see how gently and how smoothly and how slowly I'm doing this. And you just keep going until you feel that you've gone into the stretch as much as you feel is comfortable, and then reset. and then we bring the leg into that position. So remember, it's not straight pointing up, it's not at 90 degrees, it's somewhere in the middle, whatever's comfortable. And we try to keep that same angle at the knee, and we arch. Remember to keep the head on the floor, keep the shoulders relaxed. And then as we rotate the pelvis to flatten the lower back into the floor, we're gently and smoothly bringing the leg towards the body. And then relax. Well done. So then, if you want to, feel free to pause the video, just see if there's a change. Now for me at the moment, I don't feel like I'm going any further, but I feel that when I go into it, it's not so uncomfortable. It's like it's taken some of the tension out of the system, and it might be if I did the other test with the strap, there might be some improvement in that one. But at the moment, I seem to have maybe reached a peak with how far I can stretch forwards, but it is feeling much more comfortable. So if some of you aren't seeing any differences in range, you might just feel that the same position that you're getting into is a bit more comfortable. So we now go into the last part of this. So this is where we bring the strap back in. So what we're going to do is bring the leg into a stretch, and it's got to be a stretch where if you were to keep going until it feels uncomfortable, you then want to ease off a little bit from that, so that the stretch that you're holding, you can relax into it. There's no part of your brain that's saying, this is hurting, this is uncomfortable, how long is it going to be for? It's going to, I can't wait for this to finish. It's got to be something that is very comfortable. So even though you could go much deeper, you want to find the point deepest into the stretch that feels relaxed and comfortable. For me, it's here at the moment. And we hold it for 10 seconds. So after 10 seconds, I'm going to push my leg that way and keep with the strap, the leg in the same position. So I'm pushing against the stretch, not necessarily as hard as possible, but with enough effort to feel that the certain muscles are activating. So it's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then we just relax the tension, but keep the leg where it is. And then we're going to take this quadricep muscle here, and we're just going to contract it. So it's kind of the muscle that would lock out the knee. And we just contract it reasonably hard, but again, it doesn't have to be as hard as possible. And we hold it for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then relax. And then we just unlock the knee a little bit. So a little unlocking of the knee, and then just see if you can go further in. And you'll be able to go deeper because the knee's unlocked anyway. But you might find that some of those contractions that we've done will make it easier. And so that little unlocking of the knee, and we hold it for a further 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then we relax. And we do the same on the other side. Now, if you want to, you can either alternate backwards and forwards until you've done 2 or 3 times on each leg, or you could do 2 or 3 times on this side and then do 2 or 3 times on the other. So it's up to you which way you do that. So I go into the stretch, and this is where it feels uncomfortable, so I ease back a little bit. So this is now comfortable. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So then I'm going to push against the stretch. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then just relax. Keep the leg in the same place. And then we contract this muscle here in the front of the upper leg, the quadriceps. So you're locking out the knee. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax that muscle. Unlock the knee, create a little bit of a bend, and then go as far into the stretch as you can. And when you unlock the knee, you'll probably feel that you feel the stretch more into the belly of the muscle in a way that you don't experience when the leg is straight. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So that's the sequence, and what you would want to do ideally to really maximize the hamstrings is you want to do that last part 3 times. So the first time you do it, even though we've done all these preceding parts, there might still be a lot of tension there. When you go back and do it the second time, you usually feel that you get deeper into the stretch, and then you do it a third time, and that's when you really start to feel that the muscle is really responding. And so even though I've only done that once, I'm going to retest and just see if anything's different. So now for me, that is feeling quite different than when I started. But we want to test specifically the hamstrings. And I was able to get my leg into a position where it was about 90 degrees. And we want to see with the leg straight whether I can comfortably go a bit further than that. So at the moment, yes. From where I'm lying, it feels and looks like it's going a little bit further than I was before. I think before I was about here. So it is starting, and I can go further with more ease as well. But if I was to repeat the stretch a few more times, I'd probably start to see improvements in the session. And if you were to repeat this on a daily basis for a couple of weeks, you could really start to release your hamstrings. It might be that you want to do this just when you need to, just to release a tight hamstring. Maybe it's tightened up from training, or you might want to use it as a body prep to go into something like a yoga posture that requires the hamstrings to be quite released, like a downward facing dog or a rotated triangle, for example. So play with that for a while and see how you get on, and leave comments and let me know if it's helping you in any way.